as it is about the same time in February that I did my last little video, I'm gonna do another one. Decided that for posterity purposes more than anything, it would be nice to try and make it a relatively regular thing. So our big news is we've done a lot of things, and some of them are more noticeable than I think the vast majority of them in terms of any kind of change. The first one is that we have knocked out this little wall. The main reason being, I think we quite fancied giving Red 360 access to run round the house. But we have also, there was loads of little trees along the boundary with the railway, so we dug those out both sides, which has allowed us to finish the little stones, and our garden with a couple of curry plants and our pencil cypress and some other little things is doing quite well. We have tidied up, didn't film out the back last time, but we have tidied up all this area which was our green waste. I'd been dumping it there rather short-sightedly, so we've got rid of all of that. So this is the back of our garden. Over there is some sort of old electrical infrastructure. I suggested to someone the other day that it was part of the railway, and they said, oh no, it was a different voltage. So I don't know if that was in some way part of the kind of domestic and village distribution power system, but anyway, it is what it is. So this is our back gate, and this up here is our bit of land that came with the house. So the boundary is kind of somewhere in the middle, but basically our bit goes up to that kind of peak there, and then going along, the land extends back. So it's quite a big area, but it's all mostly kind of quite steep, although there are some paths, so some kind of old terracing. So one day it might be quite cool to get that on the go. But we have finished the fence. So this is our neighbour, as weird as he is sometimes, set to and built this new fence to divide kind of our garden from his bit of land on the other side, which was a huge boon, because we had said that we were going to build a fence anyway to keep Red in and stop him getting up there and then getting out onto the railway line. So we finished that, so that's quite nice. This is Red's tunnel that he's discovered he can run through. So this is the canal that brings us back around the other side. That's where Red gets out, and then, as I said, when we open this gate, he can now do a 360 all the way around the house, along the path that we'd laid. Yes. So I guess some of the work is positively visible, some of the work is invisible, and some of the work seems like a backward step. So realise that the drain pipe in the storeroom that is going to be our kitchen doesn't go anywhere. I was tracing everything to the main manhole, and when I poured water down this pipe inside, nothing appeared in the manhole into the sewer. So I discovered actually there'd been water bubbling up a previous year. So I thought maybe the pipe was broken, but it turns out it was literally a pipe to nowhere. So they'd done the main pipe with a bit of plastic bag underneath it, and then wedged in it was this smaller pipe, and on the end of the smaller pipe was a right angle T, which finished kind of around there. So yeah, that was a bit of a cowboy job. That the pipe is the down pipe from the house. So that's positive, because we've discovered what's going on, and what we need to do is to dig a bit of a trench and a solid pipe away from the house, and then we're going to kind of do a land drain style sort of soak away. Oh, the train is coming. That's fortuitous. How cool is that? So that's the train that passes about 6 times a day. Yeah, so that's our pipe work. But yeah, it led to learning a whole load of things about French rules, about what you can and can't do with your water on and off your land, and what have you. So yeah, and this is then the back of the storeroom, where we're going to have our French doors out from the kitchen, then onto some sort of patio garden area, and doesn't look like it now, but this spot gets quite a lot of sun, so we're thinking maybe kind of rock garden path, and then possibly a terrace here next to the back gate. Also discovered while we were digging around that this downpipe, which takes the water off the main roof and off the side roof, basically turned the other way and went across there through the wall onto the railway. So it finished about halfway short of that access hatch, which I had a little peek under the other day, and it had the biggest electrical cable in it I've ever seen. So I quickly put the hatch back, and also quickly decided that basically all our rainwater just flushing out in that direction was possibly not the best idea. Although it's been fine for, well, who knows how long. But yeah, so what we are doing, because we quite like to keep our garden alive in the summer when there's not a lot of rain, we're going to do some water storage. So because there's two pipes here, going to be going into water storage here. So we bought ourselves a 300 litre container. I think we might get another one. And then Abby's project has been building up a base, because it's like €30 for the container, or €38 for the container, and then the proper stand is like €38 again. So we thought, why pay for that when we've got tyres and we've got soil and we've got all sorts of bricks and debris that we dug out of the garden. So creating a base, and then we're going to use some of the old gates that you can see under the wood pile there, and like that one, to build a little platform, and then we are going to clad the front of it and the side so it looks pretty. And then yeah, hopefully we'll get quite a lot of water off there into our water butts, and then need to build some sort of runoff, probably a pipe again, that will come and then also go out into the garden in a land drain. So that will both stop the water going in the electric cable, provide us some water storage for the dry summers, because there's often droughts and drought restrictions, so especially if we want to start growing things, yeah, generally deal with this whole thing a little bit better and get some water out to the grass, so that'll help that in the summer. The other big news, the big visual news, is that we decided that before we finish the water butts, we wanted to, well, we will paint all of the house, but these walls particularly, as you can see, the grey is what it was, and Abby has painted the side wall in the colour that we've got, which we had to get permission for. So because our house is in a because it's an historical monument, and because it is in a area of outstanding natural beauty, I'm not quite sure if it's quite in the regional nature reserve, but we had to get permissions for all our works, so not planning permission, but a kind of permission to do work. So it was quite an intensive process. So we got the change of use on the building. We had to get permission for the colours, because we wanted to paint the outside. There is a prescribed set of Pantone colours, or whatever the codings are, that you're allowed to use. And as you can see from the village, some people paint their buildings, other people leave them as they are. But yeah, it's one of the many processes that is pretty bureaucratic, but we really appreciated the value of. Keeping everything within a certain aesthetic is actually really positive. And I think the mayor should find some money for everyone to paint their house, make the village much more attractive. Yeah, so that's that's the visual thing. We've really thought, this is what the future holds. It's going to look really nice, where everything else is just a bit tatty. But it's all progress. So yeah, we've done this. This is our grapevine that grows really quite prolifically. I sort of wrapped it up, but it was all along the top of this fence, and then it also got to, yeah, near to the 5 sign on our fence. And we got some grapes and they were pretty nice. So it seems a shame to take it out. So we're going to keep it, maybe amputate to this limb and then get it to train in 2 directions. So that needs sorting out. Our firewood pile has definitely depleted. So we're now mid-February, so I think probably through February it still might be quite cold, if not a bit colder, and then it should start getting warmer. But we've definitely had a lot of sunnier days, even though they haven't been super frequent, so you can see the weather changing and improving. Right then, so going into the development area. So it's still got loads of stuff, probably got more stuff than we did have. Everything in here, the storeroom is the same, but what we've been concentrating, a lot of our work that you can't see is here. So we'll go up the stairs first. That is going to be, so in here is wiring for our new electric hob. That's going to be in the kitchen on the other side of this wall. Basically trying to coordinate that for when the gas bottle runs out. So we'll have a seamless switch over between not wasting any gas and getting our, moving over to the electric. So this, the wall was out last time, but since last month, Abby has sanded the floors. So they were sort of that colour. So we wanted to sand them because we were going to treat for woodworm. So Abby has sanded all of the floors and we have treated for woodworm. That was my job. 3 sprays should hopefully both prevent future outbreaks and cure anything that was left. Also, so I took out the opening lights from the windows and I've peeled off all of the paint now. Yeah, very pleasing. Really difficult to get out of these, like, they're so beautifully made, but this is basically a smooth kind of half crescent gap that the outside of the window closes into when it closes, which I think is amazing, but yeah, getting the paint off there is very tiring, but managed it, so really pleased with that. And the plan is to finish those windows with, we think we'll keep the colour as it is, but with some natural oils and things. We don't want to paint over them again on the outside either. And with them being hugely recessed and also having the shutters that we can close when the weather gets really bad, we think that will be good. Pulled out all the old kind of cement and plaster and done some proper masticing around the outside and along the bottom, so that's good. So the same deal in the bedroom 2B. So here we've entirely stripped the 2 doors from up here. So all that has then been sprayed with woodworm killer and deterrent. So then these are the opening lights. These ones from the bathroom to be, I've still got the glass in, the single glazed glass, which we do want to change. So we are currently in the process of talking to some glass suppliers to see if they can do us some door glazing that will fit in the arched top and also be of a thickness that will fit in the frame. So that's still got a bit of scraping to do. But unfortunately, we had a really shit day one day when I created a minor flood by misunderstanding our heating system. So just kind of tidied that up, put taps on the end of the pipe that was broken. Then there was a huge gust of wind, and the windows opening lights in the bedroom blew about and shattered glass all over the floor outside. So we had to advance the process of taking the glass out. So yeah, what we need to do is find glass that will fit. We can increase the rebate to some extent, but yeah, we just need to see what's available and what can be done. I've recently found that you can get really fancy heritage glass that's super thin and has a vacuum in the middle of it. So you can get a really high resistance value for super thin glass. I imagine it's really expensive. I don't know if you can get it in curved glass, etc. So we need to investigate that. But yeah, so all this woodwork is now treated for woodworm and mushrooms. So that can all, once we get some glass, the windows, opening lights can go back in, and then we can also hopefully do the ones from the bathroom. The doors are going to be dyed, the same as the floors. So we've just ordered our Little Fairs dye from the UK that we used in our house in Coventry. So that's exciting, but we need to resist the huge temptation to dye the floor now before we've done all the other work. So there's our wardrobe, still the same, just treated, and we started looking at colours for the walls again. We've kind of found it necessary to balance the really important immediate work that's very fundamental and normally exceptionally tiring and not rewarding at all, with some kind of more exciting visions of the future. So like painting the wall outside and then picking colours. So we did both walls, but we quite fancy they only had one shade. Oh, these were already here, I think maybe the last time I made this video. Yeah, we think we're going for the yellowy bit. And then now the floors are treated, so we're going to cover it all with protective sticky film, and then we can get on with some of the other bits and bobs. So in here we can start putting, the windows back, the skirting boards back, the floorboards back. And then thinking about filling in some of the gaps in the ceiling. So there are cracks, but we're hoping that they are more superficial than anything. So we're going to clean those up and then look to replaster. It's a fairly straightforward construction, along as the what's the right word? Sort of not wattle and daub, but the structural things are in place, so the covings and the ceiling. So fingers crossed that won't be too arduous. We need to think about our plan for the fire. So this does have a flue which connects to the fireplace downstairs and then goes up. We're not sure what to do, and we also need to think about heating and cooling solutions and what we're going to do in that respect, and whether that involves the existing flue and what have you. And then, the other thing I've done is I've researched French pipes, so translating my understanding from UK imperials to metrics. Found a really useful little chart online. So then thinking about what diameters we need, because these are super small pipes. So we're going to keep these, the hot and the cold, for our vanity cabinet, which I've got downstairs, I can show you. And then I'm going to tee off here for the cold, coming to the shower, which is why that's not sounded, and then the bath. And then I'm going to bring a new hot pipe up through the big thick wall from the water heater into the kitchen under here, which will later become a utility, which will have a shower, so it can supply that shower and then come upstairs to supply the shower and the bath, because I think trying to get the water up here under this tiny bore pipe will lead to a pretty crap shower and a pretty slow bath to get filled. So spent what felt like about 3 hours in a French B&Q yesterday, making the mistake of having, a guy came and asked me if I wanted help, which they always do. They're really useful, they're really helpful. My terrible French and lack of understanding of all the different diameters, we kind of muddled through, and I think I've got all the bits. So then this is the most dramatic, maybe, thing. So while I was spraying for woodworm, underneath here, I got my little head torch and I got a really good close look, and I saw some, there's still a little bit here, I saw some white patches I thought might look a bit like rot. Having done some research, it seems like this entire understairs area has a wet rot problem, and also loads of black mould, but I have, that's what I've been doing now, getting rid of it all. So that's been a mixture of some wild wooling and some sanding, so that all that stair string was black. So now it's back to its wood colour, so that's a good move. And then we've got a fungicide. The nice thing is the woodworm treatment also is a preventative fungicide. So we've done a bit of the process. But yeah, I'm going to hit it with some stuff, which actually for the outside, it's for roofs, but it kills algae and fungi. Algae, fungi, yeah, because are you going to be able to see? Yeah, some of the growth looks like this, so it's a bit like cress. Some little black stems with little nodules on the end, and using my Google image search, the most similar thing that came up was actually lichen, which I understand now is a combination of algae and fungi. Don't really know how that works, but as a result, I think the outside stuff bizarrely might be the best. But we're going to hit it with that as well, and then we've done pretty much everything. We think there might have been some historical water leakage because this is where we've got our pipe system. But can't remember if I said last time, but the other thing I did was clear up the cellar floor, and there is a kind of surface on here, and it's a bit like tarmac, but it's not very thick, and then essentially we've got soil. So this area seems quite likely to be it is exceptionally moist. I guess that's the thing with cellars, isn't it? So I'm thinking it's just the case that this ventilation window, which I've taken the mesh out of because it had like metal and then fine material mesh to keep out the bugs, has probably not allowed a lot of air circulation. This frame has also got evidence of a historical woodworm. It's probably got rot in as well, so that needs to go. I think possibly, so we definitely need some kind of ventilation, maybe just one of those devices that runs on its own steam, so to speak, just like the little holes that whirl round in the wind, or maybe an electrically powered humidistat activated thing. So after we've treated for the fungicide and put a new finish on all the woodwork, because I don't think there was any finish on it, so that's a problem. Yeah, then it'll be properly ventilated. And I've just realised this is weird. So I found one of these in the garden. It's not a stone, it's an iron thing, like an iron shoe. Don't know why that's in the wall. Maybe the other one came from the other side, because I did find it just out there. That's interesting. Okay, learning something new all the time. What was? I feel like there was something else before I left here. I think that is it. Yeah, taking that out, putting the window in, then we're gonna put the door back. Yeah, I can't remember if I showed this last time, but the other problem that we've got is, so this here is the top of a stair stringer coming up around the corner, and you can see the bottom of the newel post, which then is all rotted away. So we need a new newel post on here to hold up these steps. And then I think someone has taken out the stair stringer from the entirety of that side of the stairs, because I think I knocked it off while I was sanding. Basically at the top there was a peg sticking out, which looked like it used to support something. And this plasterwork looks like it's been added at some stage. And I think what they've done is they have just then supported the edges of these stairs. Worst case scenario, just in the plaster. Best case scenario, in the kind of brick, relatively thin brick wall that sits in between the two wooden uprights. So I think this needs a new stair stringer. So that will be fun. We can scribe, get a piece of wood long enough, scribe out the steps and then fit it to here, probably with a new post, because this one is also a bit rotten and woodworm affected, and then the new post that needs to go there. Oh. It's weird. It's simultaneously incredibly stressful, but also very fun. It's like the biggest woodwork project, well, biggest DIY project ever. And you sort of like, oh, today I'm going to do some electrics, today I'm going to do some pipes. Today, maybe we're going to buy an amazing freestanding vanity unit, which is beautiful wood. It's got a towel rail exactly in the right place. It's got a faux marble top and a plinth, and it came with a tap. And it also came with a mirror, which is hiding under that blanket. The mirror of which has lights on either side. We paid €150 for it, and I think it was one of those situations where the person selling it couldn't believe that we were actually buying it for the money, and very much was waiting for us to say, well, surely €20 would be more reasonable. But we were just absolutely overwhelmed by it, compared with how shit the bathroom furniture is in the UK, especially new stuff. But this, it's not hugely old, and it is in a sense like a faux style, I suppose, of some period. But I find with all this French furniture of this type, it's well made. I mean, that joint is so intricate. Solid door, solid sides, but yeah, at the same time this panel is some sort of thin boarding, so it's easier to cut holes in for pipes, and if you want to remove it to get up to do the plumbing, you can do. And that just I don't know, it seems an incredibly high quality thing. Again, the drop down door, proper strong hinges, really good fittings, very thick solid wood, proper catches, but yet very clearly with plastic washers under the nuts, not that old. And it's got a ceramic basin as well, so super pleased with that. Abby found it on the French equivalent of Gumtree. So I think that is it. Oh no, one more thing. Just for the stock. Oh yeah, Brett decided to, he's playing with his ball, decided to dig up half of the drive the other day, pulled out the membrane and the stones that needs dealing with. And then the other thing, the gate, our fence that we built 2 summers ago, the gate was starting to rock in the really strong winds that we get. So we strapped it to the tree, and I've discovered that there's actually there's 2 breaks in the post, so that post needs replacing. But which is a bit frustrating. I think there must have been a knot just at the wrong place, and then the wind is quite strong and just a bit of play. But gotta have something to keep you busy. So there we go. That's us into February. Not as nice weather as it was last time, but you can't have everything.